Hi, and welcome to another video. It's been a minute. Just felt like it's time to drop an update where we at, and also I feel like I have a clearer perspective of where I am exactly and what I'm going through per se. An update on one things. I'm not gonna like expound on nothing much that I'm planning to do or doing with my life right now. Just where I am right now, as per my previous video where I stated like I'll desist from kind of sharing too much stuff of what's going on until things take fruition, right? So yeah, the hermit mode or your isolation phase or the cave. Okay, any one of those terms, we all have different terms for it, right? And today we're gonna expound on that a little further, and that's the state I see myself in right now, like in serious hermit mode, some serious isolation going on. And if anyone could relate or expand on this further, you definitely could touch a point on that. So as we go, it's the intro. Okay, so hermit mode. What does that mean to me? The isolation period that, a lot of times, like, we come to a lot of times, like, this period in people's lives are usually triggered by some major event that just becomes a huge catalyst to all the circumstances in their life changing, right? And it comes to a point where at this point, people would start to, a lot of inner self-reflection would begin to take place, right? And a lot of the times when people go through those periods in their life, they tend to feel an intense yearning to isolate while they assess themselves and start questioning things and try to decide what is the next path, right? From my perspective, I believe we're put through these phases in life, which is what I'm going through also, so that we could reconnect with ourselves, right? And hermit mode doesn't have to be like just completely going monk mode in a cave and not ever seeing or talking to nobody again, right? You could be still involved in your social life or with your friends to a certain degree, but just decide you're going to take a period of time, whether it be like 3 months or 6 months, to just focus on getting your life back together or putting all your energy towards one particular project and not entertaining anything else. Like, you keep your friend circle, but then you're not involved in the constant weekend parties or whatever, right? So that's like another form of self-isolation which we would tend to impose on ourselves just to work through certain things and regain a connection with ourselves and our spirit, right? So in other terms, now sometimes this period is like forced onto you, like it's introduced to you in a more of a way where it's not by choice. Like, again, like I started the video, like you would have some like quote unquote major traumatic event that would like be the catalyst to have people like go into this mode and try to regain a connection and awareness of who they themselves are, right? So with me personally, I try to embrace it. I've learned to embrace this period of isolation for one of the key factors. It's the biggest part of it is to regain connection, to reconnect with who you are, find out who you are, right? Without any outside interference, right? From the day we were born, we were given we're told we're this race, we're this religion, and we supposed to like this thing. Sometimes even go as far as your family is politically aligned to this party, you have to do this and like that. And everything, your entire life is just layers upon layers built upon yourself of what the outside world and your immediate environment and people in your social circle expect you to be, right? And I believe that this period is a time for you to find, regain yourself, like strip off all those layers, because you don't have all these influences around you anymore, right? You're isolated, especially if you also isolate yourself from social media per se. That's like a big plus. You get a lot of influence, like from social media, trying to pull you in this direction or pull you in that direction, or tell you what you're supposed to be or what's supposed to be the norm or the acceptable standards for certain things, right? Like the hood mentality, right? um if you're able to shut down all of this, and your social circle, like my previous video, walking through the dark and not looking back, like you completely cut off your social circle, people from your past that have this particular image of you, where now you're discovering a new self, you're shedding all these layers, but then you're still around these people, and a part of you is still kind of feels obligated or kind of forced to still try to maintain certain appearances as to that old former self that's trying to die off so the new could take its place. And it's letting go of all of, when you don't have all these influences around you. For example, I grew up in the Caribbean, and I grew up and I did find myself like loving soca music and dancehall and reggae music, and then that's like all we were exposed to, right? We didn't get exposed, well, country and western, and I never, for some reason, I never really grew on country and western, so I still kind of sort of had like a mind of my own, whereas like everybody and their mother would be like loving country and western. I do not know how we ended up picking up that trend in the Caribbean, but I think it's the whole cultural influence that everything, all I knew was just dancehall and soca, and that's what I grew up loving. And also the trends that get passed on, like, you know, the whole bunch of homophobia that originated from dancehall, reggae, and different kind of cultural, like gangster, the whole gangster vibes entering the dancehall sector and influencing enough youths to start going the bad boy role, and all the young boys want to be like a gangster or rude boy because of the music, you know. And I've come to find now that at this age, like, I grew up loving most of it, and then I got introduced to hip-hop in the US. That was all everybody was playing around me. That kind of grew up on me too, but then it still was certain conscious artists. But now I've found that, being that I've like separated from all these other influences, like, it's just me, myself, now asking myself what type of music I love, right? And I just play stuff like I just kind of love the feel or the vibes of. I've like gravitated to the point now where my music of choice, without no societal influence, no influence from nothing, no expectations of what people would say if they hear me listen to this or nothing like that, it's like tribal house, right? And I'm like, usually I'll be like in a scenario where I'm like probably the only Caribbean guy in this like club bumping to, you know, tribal house music, right? So it's like unique and exotic as ever. But then you find to yourself, without any external influence, you find out who you are. You find out the different things you like, right? Is those peeling of the layers and shedding of the layers. The more you isolate yourself and you ask yourself these questions, and you allow yourself to do the things you like or explore certain things you like on your terms without the need to impress nobody or validation from nobody. It's just you doing you, right? And another big part of this period is also reconnecting with the creative aspect of yourself, right? If you could take the time to really get in touch with your your shadow during this period, because the creative aspect of a lot of our lives rests in the generative energy of our shadows, right? So it is in this period also, if we're really genuine with ourselves and we confront all those parts of ourselves which we probably say that this is not me, I could never do that, or I could never be like that. What if we just stop and say, oh, well, let me just say, okay, what if I could have done that? What if it's just, what if the possibility is in me to actually do this or do that? And then finding solace with whatever you come up with. And it's confronting those parts of ourselves which we hate to see exist, and we shun and we pack away, right? So we confront these and we allow certain energies to free up and move forward, and certain expressions, now new expressions, to be able to come to the surface, right? And usually these come forward if we choose to bring it all the way forward. It usually, like, again, I'm like I'm all about like expressing yourself through your artwork, and the shadow and the subconscious would express itself with pieces in your art, right? And usually this would allow you to it would come forward in your art. So the isolation period and those periods of reconnecting with yourself tends to allow one to reconnect with those creative forces, those creative drives, the creative aspect of one's existence, right? Versus just being a consumer and being content with just consuming. But also you need to obviously put the effort into it, right? The inspiration will be there, but then you have to actually like put the effort and into whichever medium that you want to, right? So it's also a time for reconnecting with the creative aspects of yourself, right? And shedding all those layers over time, which we've been told, oh, this is me, that is me because of this, and I'm trying to appease this person or this party or this football team. Like, it's just validation upon validation, and caring what people think or caring about how I appear online. It's just nothing about living and freely and truly expressing ourselves for who we are. So this is a period where I've greatly found that you really get a chance now to reconnect with yourself, because you have no one around you to tell you should be this or tell you should be that, or question you about what your intention with this is, or your expression about that. Whoever you meet practically new people every day in this hermit mode. Everyone you meet is a new individual every day, and you have the freedom, the liberty to just be yourself, because everyone is meeting you for the first time, right? If you were to go back to any of your previous friends, they would literally be meeting a completely different person, and the energies would conflict, because it will be hard for their vibration to match your vibration. So what the vibration does, it tries to bring that vibration back to the previous form where they could have like actually merged. So it does whatever it has to do to kind of, maybe even if it is to trigger you or something, to kind of bring you back to that vibrational state where it's familiar with, where the two of you could merge, right? So moving forward and letting go is like a big part of rediscovering yourself and shedding those layers. A lot of times, and the other thing too, it tends to be painful. A lot of people cannot go through this time alone, and a lot of us, like, we complain about it, we whine, we try to run from it as quick as possible. Whereas I kind of find like you should allow yourself the time to actually go through this process, assess everything. I'm not saying be satisfied with it, keep striving for your goals, but don't place no windows and time frames on nothing. Time frames, like, time is an illusion, and time is the you kind of asking for disappointment when you try to put a time on everything you do, right? You put the effort in and you allow the energy to manifest what you need to manifest, right? So I try to like also just be comfortable in the moment and take what I take from it, but still keep striving. For example, I started, when my last video, I was in a U-Haul van, and I wanted to get a van right off the bat, but then it impractical to a certain degree, right? Because I couldn't keep renting a U-Haul and I couldn't just get a van, a decent van off the bat, right? Plus I would have to do the work in the van. So I needed to get a vehicle for work. So I got me a vehicle. I bought a Honda Pilot, an SUV, which I'm staying in, I'm living in right now. The thing is, I decided to either get an apartment or make the sacrifice, like I said, make the sacrifice and stay on the road, stay hungry, basically, right? Because being in this mode, that's where the ideas keep coming up. You're not like getting back into your comfort zone, going back and paying rent and being, okay, this is really nice, I don't know what the hell I was thinking. I'd rather be out here where it's like not comfortable, where I'm constantly reminded this is not where I want to be, right? So the ideas keep flowing, the energy for manifesting keeps flowing, right? And I've cycled to different jobs because I've like felt uncomfortable in certain jobs and whatnot. But it's me. I have a hard time, I have a hard time compromising my ethics for the sake of money. Okay, so me living a job, if I don't feel comfortable ethically working in a certain place or how things are done, I have no problem like walking away from it. I don't have much commitments financially besides like maintaining my little shell I carry around everywhere with me, right? So I made that step forward, but then I also want to keep making, so obviously like I'm going through everything I go through, but I'm still making the steps I need to take to get where I need to go, right? So there's that. And I plan on graduating from this. And the other thing is I wanted to get things done myself without like, okay, I do have my website like I put out there the last time, but then I have a hard time asking for help, right? It I don't know, I think it takes away from the effort we try to exemplify ourselves, and I prefer to do my own thing. And then if I'm successful or close to it, like I don't want it to be like I hate depending on external factors for anything I need and I want. And that's also a big reason why there's this drive for self-sufficiency, right? And this hunger for that liberated sense of living, right? And again, like I said, it's not for everyone. We just try to live how we choose to live, and it's like let the example speak for itself, right? If anybody else resonates with it, they do. If not, so be it, right? But yeah, so again, like we always say, this is a period, again, we're gonna repeat, like we're gonna say it again, this is the period for us where we find ourselves like reconnecting with ourselves and rediscovering the parts of ourselves that we denied for so long, right? To appease people around us, appease society, and live up to expectations, live up to standards, constantly seeking validation. You're in the cave, there's none of that. You're just literally free to be yourself, especially now if you're not letting any external factors like work determine who you're gonna be. Like you borderline, you're this close to finding full self-liberation, right? So it's an interesting time, very interesting time indeed. And also like staying hungry, like never like not getting too comfortable and then giving up on, I planned on doing this or I planned on doing that and this and that, but now like you're comfortable. What's the need of these ideas you initially came up with? Were ideas that would maybe uplift you out of the situation you're in on a long-term basis, right? But because you've now attained this temporary comfort, this could easily just snowball into like, why should I could just like keep working and get a better apartment and like I'm, like everything is good, I'm blessed, I have a nice job now, I'm making money. Why So allow the discomfort to be a fuel to keep driving that hunger to want the change and to keep pursuing the visions you initially saw and never giving up on